Hey guys, MoneyMan300 back for another tuning in-depth video, and this time we're going to be talking about Aero. It's probably going to be kind of a quick one here. There's not a ton to go over with Aero, but I'll go over the basics of it. You know what to do to get on the Aero, when I adjust Aero, and why. So save that. First of all, let's go back out, and again for those that are newer to the series, let's talk about what you need to do first off to even have adjustable Aero. By default you don't, but you'll come in here to your front bumper and you want to pick the Forza Aero. This is the adjustable install front bumper, adjustable downforce to increase load over the front wheel. So you do that. Some cars come with lots of different options. These are not adjustable. As you can see, they all say non-adjustable. They will have some downforce built in with them if you do want to use them. Typically you're going to use that, and what you'll see a lot of times, and one of the reasons that a lot of times you'll put Aero on there, is it actually reduces your PI, which is a good thing. So if I look here and I go over, I think I started it here, except for this car, of course. This one actually increases the PI one, but generally you're going to do that. So let's put that Aero on there. I thought I already had it. Maybe not. This is a new car. That's right. With that paint job, the Subaru 22B. Let's see about this one. See, now this one goes down. All right. So in this one, the rear Aero did drop 6 PI off of there. So you can see, and again, there are other Aero you can put on here, and it does add some downforce, but you really want the adjustable downforce so that you can make adjustable to it. This is a pretty standard on most cars. Every once in a while, you'll leave the Aero off if you're going for, a straight top speed build. That really certainly, very long straightaway type tracks, or the drag strip. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Aero on both of these just to show that, as I'm just starting to build out this car. So let's go back into our tuning here, and we'll see what our default Aero settings are. Right there. Okay, so default Aero right there. I think it had different Aero on it, non-adjustable. I don't remember what the downforces of those were, but you can actually go. So what you can do, and let me show you this real quick. I believe this works anyway. So if I were to, let's go back to just the normal non-adjustable Aero on here, and as well as here, you're going to get some downforce using this Aero as well. So if I go back in here and I go into the tuning and take a look at this, you'll see. Let me take a quick look here. You'll see, but it's just not going to be adjustable. That one didn't say it. For some reason, I thought that it was going to say it there, but all right. Well, disregard that part. Let me try one more thing. I was thinking if you went in there, it at least told you how much downforce you would have, but maybe it doesn't. We'll take one more quick look at it here. But there is downforce there. It just doesn't say how much there is. So I'm going to go in here and let's put our adjustable back on, and let's hop in here and take a look at the tune. All right, so let's go over to Aero. Oh, I forgot to put the rear on. And let's do that too. Let's put the rear Aero on. You can use the other parts that are in here. They are Aero parts. They don't tend to do a lot for, you can do bumpers and different things like that, and sometimes you can get them for free. This adds just a little bit of weight. It says that it adds speed. I think if I look here, 144.7 for a top speed, 144.4. So you get 0.3 mile an hour by putting that on there. So, you can put different bumpers on there. Some cars that works for, sometimes. This also, I believe, probably adds weight if I look at it. So it's about 3 pounds. So this is almost more of a cosmetic thing. If you like a bumper, if, one's a little bit more cool than the others, then you can do that. But look at the paint job. This paint job looks like it's almost made for that bumper. I want to put that bumper on there. And then, you have side skirts that you can look at. And again, some of these things are going to bump up your PI, and some won't. So we can look at our, hey, we're up to 145 now. So we go 144.7 to 145. So it just takes a little bit of drag off. This is more common in these rally type cars where you have a little bit more of that than you do in the others. So we'll throw one of those on there. Back out, and then the last thing you can look at is there's typically hoods that you can add on. I see this one does actually. It takes about 15 pounds off of there. That's not 15, that's 5 pounds. And that 5 pounds happens to bump me up a PI. I don't think it really does anything else. So we're still sitting in there at those same numbers. So we're gonna leave that off, but those are all the different options. What we're really concerned about is the front bumper and the rear wing and getting the adjustable parts on there. But take a look at the other ones. Lots of cars have lots of different options, and sometimes you can get things like those side skirts and bumpers and give you just a little bit of extra out of them. So be sure to take a look at those. On the so now let's get to the Aero. And this car here I was building, planning on building in Class A, and I would probably just leave this alone right here. So for me, it's usually about different classes. I do different things with the Aero. So the lower classes, I typically take the Aero out. So if I was building this as a, D class, if I could, you can't build this car for D class, I'd take all the Aero out because it's just not needed, right? You don't need the Aero in your lower classes. D, C, sometimes even B. You might start creeping some in there. And B, you might start getting up to half. A, you may be half, and I may even, depending on the track and depending on what I'm trying to do, like, a track like the Alps or, things that have higher speed turns, more Aero is good. Right? It's going to help you. Aero is going to help you when you're moving faster, keep you lower to the ground. So tracks that have high speed turns, Aero really helps. So in the tracks like Alps, like, drawing a blank, but there are Prague is the one I was thinking of, but tracks like Prague and the Alps and things like that really have a lot of high speed turns, different things. Even Spa's pretty good for that. A lot of that kind of back and forth high speed turn type things. Sebrings, even Silverstone a little bit. So that's where that Aero really comes in. And as you get up the classes, you start doing. So if I was building this for S class, and even at A, depending on, I'll start in the middle and drive it, and then I'll probably play around with it higher and lower. I usually don't make minor adjustments to it. I know some people do, like they'll adjust one or the other to help with oversteer or understeer. I tend to do that more with the roll bars and the springs than I do with the Aero, but certainly you can do that. And some people will. It depends on the track, and it depends on the behavior of your car through those high speed turns. But just remember, if I apply some more downforce here and I don't do it to the front, could create an understeer situation. Now maybe I'm horribly oversteering and I can't fix it with the springs or with roll bars or other tuning options, and maybe that's all I have. But generally I'm keeping these even. I'm not adjusting one without adjusting the other, and I'm either none, middle, and full. Those are my three. I don't get outside of that very often. So, if I was building this for S, and especially S class, I'm almost always putting full Aero on all the time. R class, same thing. Anything pretty much S and up, I'm pretty much dialed in every bit of Aero you can get, just because the cars are getting that fast that Aero it helps every car, and every bit of Aero you can get is better. It's why cars like the Viper are so good in the S classes, and I think you can get them in A, is they actually, when you put the bumper on those, they have a ton more downforce. So different cars have different Aero that you're able to adjust more downforce. You can put up to, I think 600 pounds in the front on it's like 600 and 1200 or something like that on one of the Vipers. So, and in this one you can see I could do 100 and 200. So it's not, it's a Subaru. It's more of a rally car. It's not really made for those super high speeds like some of those other cars are. Some of them are going to come out of the box with a lot more Aero. Some are going to come with adjustable Aero on them. I mean, they're all a little bit different, but that's really all I do with Aero. In this case, I'm tuning it for A class. I'm going to start it in the middle. I may end up just throwing all the Aero on there. The only thing it impacts is top speed for the most part when you add more Aero, but it helps in your turning. So it's it's hard to not take that as a trade-off, because if you can turn a little bit faster and sacrifice a couple of mile an hour in speed, that's never a bad thing. And you can look at it here. It'll tell you that, like if I'm at 145.1 or whatever, if I crank this up here, I'm going to get, looks like 141.8. So I lose 4 mile an hour potentially on that top end on this. You're not getting to your complete top end anyway, but it is going to, make you just slightly slower in some of those longer straightaways. But a lot of times you're going to make up for that in those sweeping turns and the better grip that you're going to get in those. So really, to sum it up, lower classes, put the Aero on, but take it all the way out. You want the PI gain. I gained about 6 PI out of putting that on there that I can use on other parts, on engine parts or whatever I need to do. And then and then just take all the aero out. You don't really need it. I mean, you're going to have a little bit of downforce in there, but you don't need it in the lower classes to help with your grip at all, in my opinion. I start needing it maybe in B. You know, once I get up to B, I start putting it in a little bit, A, and then definitely on up in S in the higher classes. So that's really all I'll do with the aero. I will end it with that one. I think our next one up is going to be the brakes. So we'll end it there. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later.